Hey guys, it's Wayne. I'm just gonna be here showing you how ENB works and all that fun stuff. I'm still learning it myself. Also, my frames will be bad, so don't say anything about that, even though I know some people will. To get started off here, you got a lot of configuration things you can do. Let me just go ahead and minimize some of this stuff here. Um, Console F8 is best to do it so you don't interact in the game itself. But you have basic stuff: apply, load, save. Force sync is good if you have some issues with frames. You can do an FPS limiter if you think that you need it. Input. This is going to be changing your keybinds and such. You can click it and change it. Um, this stuff I wouldn't mess with. I wouldn't mess with this stuff. I mean, you could turn this off and maybe increase performance. I never noticed a difference. And then you can turn this stuff off if you want to. Um, you have four or yeah, four panels in total. You have the ENB Series, which is your controls, your ENB Series I, and I have your configurations, your shader parameters, which changes your base game, and then your weather. I have it disabled, so just go and turn that off here. Next, we're gonna go over profile. Don't need to touch. Statistics, again, don't need to touch. Temp variables, don't need to touch. Global, just kind of turn it off and on your ENB. You'll notice the difference with that. I'm sorry if you hear a bird in the background. Effect. Um, Depending on your ENB, there's multiple ENBs: PRSA, QuantV, NVE. You have ENBdev.com, which is your vanilla ENB. Um, I'm personally using ENB currently. If you have this off, you wouldn't be able to change the ENB effect plus pass effects, which is, you can't change anything. So depending on your ENB, you may have it on or off. For ENV, they want it on because then if you go to here, you can then change things. As you can see, like this right here. If I turn that on, you can see it increase the color, whatever. You could change all this fun stuff as well. Um, your original bloom. This is recommended to have on depending like Quant V. I recommend to keep it off because then keeping it off will allow you to have better control of your bloom. For NV, they don't have that, so for NV, we'll leave that on. That's kind of self-explanatory. I've never noticed a difference in this or this, so when you mess that stuff. Post-pass shaders, if you can see, kind of gives it a bit more of a clarity. I recommend having that on. Adaptation, same thing. Never noticed a difference. Bloom, need that on to have your good lights. Lens, depending on your setting, like Quant V, if you have it off, it won't show those the flares. For me, for NVE, I use clouds. So if I just click Control H, you can see that clouds are going to pop up there. So if I go to ENB lens.fx, it's going to show clouds instead of the actual lens part. So I'm not able to explain the lens too much, but if you want it on or off, it's up to you. Depth of field, kind of self-explanatory. Um, I have it set wherever my mouse points. It will show where the focus is. So if I put it out here, it'll blur it back here. If I put it up here, it'll blur it back there. So we're gonna have it off if you're doing it. It's good for quick screenshots if you want. Like, you can take some quick screenshots, if you wish to do so. So it kind of up to your preference if you go screenshots. Ambient collisions kind of gives like a shadow collision. So if you just kind of look at this building here, you click enable it. You see it kind of shows the shadows a little bit, but it also shows it under some things. So it kind of gives some weird things. So I recommend having it off, as you can see it like right here. Kind of shows a bit more of a shadow than what is needed. Enable subsurface scattering, same thing. Never notice a difference. I don't know. Skylighting, I recommend having it on. It kind of gives it more of a shadow depth. Detail shadowing. I've never noticed a difference, but I like to have it on just in case. Same thing with this one. Sprites. This is what's going to be in over by the water, which is I will show you that. So with the sprites, it will kind of give it you can turn it on, which will also change your ENB light sprite, your interior light sprite, as well as the light sprite right here, which is also effects in the water. Um, and you have your interior light sprite as well. So if you turn this off, you can see a big difference. Turns on and off the light spec there. You go to interior, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of a preference on what you like. I like to have it on. Rain reflections. So if you have it raining, so rain reflections it shows a more heavy to the rain, to the reflections, right? So if you have it off, you can see a difference right there. It'll reflect the world, and having it on, it'll reflect the world. Having it off, it won't. So I recommend having it on. Shore, this is what's going to be. So shore affects it. Um, you can see the water. Kind of hard to see, but you can see it right there. It kind of makes it more wet. So if you want the shore to be more wet, you can have it on. If you don't, you can have it off. It's up to your preference. Um, Off, I kind of like. I think it kind of looks better because it kind of naturally comes up instead of just throwing the water up. Um, enable water. Honestly, I don't even know what that does. That's it enables water. I don't know what water really does. I don't know why the game looks like that. Ah, short was so on. But yeah, I that's the ENB effects. I recommend just kind of having it to your personal, but I kind of like that. I like that. Color correction. This is where it's going to turn into brightness. You can have it we can't see. You can have it dimmer. You can have it bright. So it's kind of up your preference. Gamma curve I wouldn't touch, but you can turn this up slightly, but it will affect major to your game. So if we just spawn in like a vanilla police vehicle, I don't recommend going through here and testing your lights through here because these vehicles are going to be a lot different and different brightness in our server. So if you turn this up just to 0.01 or point maybe 50, you can see like it takes dramatic changes. I don't recommend playing with this, but I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can. I just recommend leaving it at 1. Um, Weather, again, I wouldn't mess with this. Time of day, this is going to change on how bright your day is. So if we change it to let's just change it to the afternoon, or that's not afternoon, to the afternoon, right? Um, so if we go to here's the time, we go to the afternoon, daytime, right? It changes the day. You can kind of see the sky. Um, Now whatever you change in here is going to affect in here. So if I do turn 500, you can see a slight change, right? Same thing with sunrise. Um, Things slightly change throughout this link, and then if you go to like the nighttime one, same thing. You can increase it, and it will do such as that. So it's sunrise. That's what we're messing with here. So you can change it. Again, when you change the front one, it'll change a little bit, as you can see. Changing the dawn, it'll change a little bit too. So you can play with that, kind of get your own thing. So if I go to sunrise, same thing, it'll bring more out the bloom. So you can mess with that, see what your preference is. 0.5, maybe 0.10, 0.05, whatever your preference is, right? Lens, again, I can't really explain this. I do that because, again, if I go to ENB lens here, it uses clouds. So the sun, or the sky, I should say. You could change certain things. So for the sunrise, you can change it where the sun's brighter. Again, change it here. We'll change the one beforehand, change it here, change the one before then too. So it'll be nighttime. Um, so you can change it on how you wish to have it set. It'll differ between each ENB. You can change the filter if you want. You can change it on like what the color you want to be. Oh, that's done. That's why it's not going to change. Sunrise. So you could change the sun there. You can see that there. Um, again, wrong one. But yeah, so you could change the sun, kind of the color, if you can kind of see that. You should be able to see that. Same thing with like through dawn, sunrise, night, stuff like that. Um, Same thing with nighttime. Change how bright you want the moon. Um, you can make it super bright, make it as bright as you want. It's up to your preference. Same with the moon. So it's like sunset. You could change the color of the moon if you want. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can make it more of a simmering color. Oop. So you can kind of see the color change right there. Like you can make it a black moon. You can make it a blue moon. I don't know the colors. Stars, same thing. You can increase the intensity of the stars. However, you want the stars to pop out more. I don't know what we're on here. So if I find it, there it is. So it's dusk. You can change it to how your liking is. It'll change throughout the time. So if I change the time, um, it'll change how bright the stars is because I changed out one. Um, and you'll even see it brighter there, and you'll maybe see them during the day because I changed the daytime stars. Change the daytime stars, and you get into a car. There you go. You can see the stars there on the car there now. You can even see the stars in the sky. I don't know why you'd want stars during the day, but you can. Like I said, ENB is completely customizable. So we'll just put this back to one. Sky intensity. So if I look at the sky, right, clouds are dissipating. You can change it, you know, brighter, darker, however you want your personality, however you want it personally. Same thing you can do throughout the days. You can even do it through nighttime. Just clouds. So clouds, you can increase them throughout the day so they get brighter, however you want it. Your light artificial, this is where you have more lighting, right? So you can make it where the sun, where it directly hits, so it's daytime. You can make it where wherever the sun's hitting, it gets brighter. So you can turn it up to like maybe 2 and it's a little brighter than normal. Um, you can change the curve if you want it to be uh, a brighter certain way. So wherever the sun's directly hitting, so you see in the back, it's darker. Here, it's like really bright. So see the difference there. Um, so you have all those. I wouldn't mess with any of this stuff. You could change the lighting. I don't know why you'd want to, but I mean, you can. It's weird. So you could change that stuff too. This stuff, again, you could change the color of it. Don't know why you'd want to. More color, more color. Is the directional of that color. Artificial. This stuff is where you're gonna want to kind of play with. Is you have your ambience, which again I don't really know what those do. But what I mainly mess with is the spotlight, right? So the spot intensity, you can increase it. You can see the underglow changing. You can increase it how you wish to do. Be careful on when you increase the spot intensity though, because it also increases, um, you know, ambient lighting, like this right here. So if I turn it up here, uh, you can see how they brighten up. So if you're not careful, it'll be really blinding, like when you hit like the interstate or something, right? Um, so it kind of gives it a weird look if you think about it. So I recommend just having it maybe max 2 if you want it to look like that. So I'm going to pop this back down to 2. So if you can see 2 is kind of a good balance. I kind of like 2. This is what I personally use. It kind of gives a nice gloom, but it's not super duper bright. Uh, Next thing you have is your vehicle front. This is going to change how bright you want your headlights, right? So it's going to change depending on the one beforehand, right? So if you can see right there, you can make it super bright, you can make it god bright, however personal you want. Change anything as you want in the one beforehand or after that, it will change. Vehicle back, same thing. You can make it where the backlights are only bright. You can change it however you wish to have it. Emergency, this doesn't change anything. Street lights, when I have it enabled, I have it white, and if you have disabled, you can change the color. So if I go to nighttime, you can change the the lighting color if you want. I don't, if you want to make it red, I have a red, whatever you want to do. Light sprite is where it changes the lighting in this area. So you have changer to water. So at nighttime, you make it blinding. You can make it where it, looks nice. You could kind of turn it down, maybe like 100 is maybe good, maybe 50. It kind of gives a nice gloom light. Same thing here, dusk, change that way. Won't change that one, but it should change dawn, or maybe not. But and then you have like your intensity, how bright you want it in that area. Then you have your scale, like how far will it go, right? Uh, yeah, your intensity. So you can do that as well. And enable external shaders is going to show if the lights in the background is going to pop, which is I recommend having that on. I don't know why you'd have that off, but I mean it helps performance, but it doesn't look that great. So I recommend having that on. So you have your reflection frizzle, which is the higher the number, the more less reflective it is. I personally like having 850. Some people say it's too reflective, but I like it. The lower this number is, the more matte the car gets. Reflection amount, this will kind of show on how reflective you want the car. Um, so I typically have this at, let's think, like at 1.2 maybe? Yeah, I think 1.2. Reflection amount, this is going to change. If you can see right there, kind of change right there. Changes the area of where it's going to be reflected at. Chrome, whatever thing that's going to be chrome, interior, exterior, anything like that. It'll change on if you want it to show or not. Chrome reflection amount, same thing with that. So if you have this turned up high, it'll reflect a lot off of the chrome. So press preference there, and wheel, it kind of shade is the wheel itself. Um, so you can have it dark, you can have it a decent. This is going to change your rim reflection. It's the way I like to think of it. Glass, pretty self-explanatory. Changes to glass. This is where when your lights are going to be off. So if I look at the tail lights, right, and I turn this to 0, the lights go darker. If I turn this up to all the way, it looks weird. So you can find your preference on what you want your lights to look like when it's off. Mirror intensity. I hope everyone knows what this is. If I get an emergency vehicle here, turn the lights on. Turn this up. The brighter the lights get, the blue